have these poor people out in the street. So what you do is you warehouse them in prison. And I think that's the direction that we're going. I think that's why you see so much militarism. That's why you see the police acting out the way they do, because everybody knows except us that it's about to get real. And we're not preparing for it to get real. Like, we're not preparing for it to go down, but it's about to go down. You see it, you saw it with Brexit. You saw it, in Europe when, you saw it with that vote. People are tired of immigrants coming into the country, not because they're necessarily anti-immigrant, not because they necessarily hate Mexicans. For some Republicans and conservatives, that's true. Some of them hate all brown people. But the truth of the matter is, people know they don't have jobs, and people know that there are only a few jobs. So they're saying, if it's between me having a job and you having a job, I want the job. So you need to go home. You can't cross the border. I want a fence. And they're saying that everywhere. And see, the problem is, if you say that at all, people say, oh, you're anti-immigrant. Not necessarily. The problem is, I don't have a job, and I see you, and I see you as my competition for getting a job. So, but the globalists and the ruling class want us to just kind of be like, oh, he's a racist, and yeah, fight him because he's a racist. No, you ought to put us in a position to compete against each other for scraps, and that's the problem.
Interesting. So it almost seems like that's almost like a two-layered analysis that you just did, where you were basically talking about the stigma that's placed on people that have a legitimate concern that resources are being taken from, by immigrants. But you're going to that higher level of saying that the reason that the whole competition exists in the first place is because the elite have extracted the resources from everybody else and are leaving us in a position where we only have the choice of deciding we're going to fight against each other. So maybe instead of fighting against, say, a Mexican who's coming across the border to create a better life, we need to fight against the elite who are hoarding all the wealth in this country and keeping everybody else from having opportunity. Correct?
We definitely need to fight against the elite in this country, and we definitely also need to resist this sort of stigma that comes on people when people say, hey, really, there really are a finite amount of jobs. Jobs aren't everywhere. So just because a person says they want to stop immigration doesn't mean they're automatically a person who hates Mexicans. Like, we've been put in this position. Like, people are desperate. So don't just be so quick to label that, to just throw it out there. You must be a racist. You must hate. No. That's what, because, that's kind of what the elite want us to do. He wants to look at this white guy and say he's a racist. He's automatically a racist because he's opposed to immigration. No, he want a job. You know what I mean? These white people realize that their quality of life has gone down. Like, our quality of life been down. But they just realize America ain't my America no more, and they're shocked. It ain't never been our America, but they realizing something, and they're shocked. And we have to work through this without being like, you're automatically a racist. You're automatically, some of them are, sure enough. You see them calling the N word, and you see them calling names. Those people are racist. Other people are frustrated.
Wow. So, what would you say to somebody who heard what you just said? See, now you're going into these multi-dimensional arguments that make you too smart for TV. See, you don't fit on MSNBC. See, if you wanted a job on MSNBC, you would be simple-minded with your shit. Everybody, every Trump supporter would automatically be a racist. And you would, you know what I mean? I mean, because really what you're going into is this conversation I've had with black people who have said to me, and some of them are actually Republicans, believe it or not, who said to me, what incentive should black people have for allowing more immigration when we look around, for example, in Chicago, where black folks can't get a lot of jobs they used to get because a lot of those jobs are taken by people from other countries. So what do you say to a black person who sees this, who isn't trying to be anything other than a provider for their family, and they go into construction sites, nothing but Latinos running the construction sites. They're going to get other types of jobs. Latinos taking up all those jobs, and they don't know where to go. There's no place for them. Black people are definitely in the underclass of this country. What do you say to somebody like that who's seeing this and is saying, I just want a solution that works for my family?
Well, I would say that black people, in terms of economics, there is no economic, incentive to being pro-immigration. And that's the truth that nobody tells. Black people are pro-immigration because of a moral consideration, not an economic consideration. And so the question that black people are faced with right now is am I going to choose economics? Or am I going to choose, my moral considerations? Am I going to choose to feed my family? Or am I going to choose something that I feel is morally right? From where I stand, I would really like to take on the ruling elite who set us up to combat each other. But this idea that all black people have to be on board, that all black people have to just, kind of toe the Democratic line and be pro-immigration, that doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense at all. And it doesn't make sense at all that black people who are saying, hey, I have a problem here, I can't feed my family, that those black people are shunned, because they do have a problem. We do have a problem. There aren't enough jobs. And so, and the way that the ruling class has it set up, they do drive down wages. They drive down wages for all of us. So, black people don't benefit from immigration. I'm not just talking about immigration from Mexico. Let's break it down. Black people don't benefit from immigration from Nigeria. We don't benefit from immigration from Ghana. When you look at colleges, you have a lot of these people, because listen, it's hard to be, it happens, but it's hard to be a poor person coming from Nigeria and immigrate to this country, right? Poor Mexicans can do it because they can hop the border and risk their lives. That's not the case when you're coming from an African country. So what you have is you actually have some people there who come here and they come from wealthy families in Nigeria or whatever, and they go to school here and they can mark the box for affirmative action, right? So the box was actually built for African Americans. So there's a lot of stuff that we don't want to talk about, because people say, well, they're still black like us. Yeah, they are. But we've been in the richest country in the world for 400 years and we still poor. Like, I'm a person who wants African Americans to get it first. It doesn't mean I don't love my African brothers and sisters. It doesn't mean I feel that we don't have a connection. I do. It doesn't mean I don't want them to invest in us and I want to invest in them. But I'm telling you, just in terms of my priorities, and people say this is very nationalistic, Yvette. We're all the same. No. Black people are descendants of slaves in this country. That's not the same as any other group. That's a very different specification. And so I do put African Americans at the center of everything in terms of how I view the world. That's who I am, because that's what everybody else does. Everybody else puts their community at the center of everything. You're going to tell me that because I'm African American, I got to be everything to everybody? No, that's just not how I think.
Well, and really the $1 million question is, if you look at any immigrant group that we support, right? So let's say you convince black folks, you got to support immigration from anybody, whether it's Mexicans, Nigerians, Croatians, or whatever. Go to that Mexican, not everyone, but go to the average Mexican, the average Nigerian, the average Croatian, and flip that question. What allowances would they make for African American people, right? What would they do? What would they give up economically to support black people's right and ability to go out and immigrate, or whatever it is, or to feed our families, or whatever the case may be? And I would dare to say that the support would be lacking, because in fact, I've seen a lot of people come from other countries and treat us like shit. I mean, just being real. I'm talking about looking at black people like,
I can't. They be the main ones telling us what we should do, and why don't you have this, and why don't you do that? Not realizing that the stuff that my forefathers, the stuff that my ancestors fought for, that's the only reason you can come here and do that. Because we got civil rights for black and brown people. You can do what you do here. You can make the money you make here because of African Americans. But instead of coming here and giving me that respect, you want to come here and tell me what I need to do and what I should do. And you haven't even read a page out of my history. I would never go to any other country having not read that history and then be like, well, this is what you should do. And even after I read it, I'm not going to say anything to you about what you should do. I'm going to sit around and listen, because I am an outsider. And, I don't care how long I stay in that country. I can go to Mexico, I can go to Nigeria, I can go to any country. I don't care if I've lived there. I moved there. I've been there for 10, 15 years. I'm still not from here. I don't have blood here. I don't have ancestors who died here, fought here. I don't have that. So I'm going to sit down and I'm going to shut up. You know what I mean? I'm going to listen to people who've been here. But everybody wants to come here and tell African Americans what they should do, what they should believe. And I'm just saying no. Like, no, I know that they're, when I talk to leftists, I talk to a lot of people on the far left. You know that. And when I talk to people on the far left, they are in favor of solidarity. When I talk to those Mexicans, when I talk to people from other countries, they really are in favor of us doing stuff together. But those people are, to me, they seem more and more like that. I would love to see more people embrace solidarity. But what I see sometimes is people come over here and benefit off of what we built, but they don't want to fight with us. Even with white women, they the main beneficiaries of affirmative action. Whenever an affirmative action fight comes up, they ain't with us on the Supreme Court most of the time, grabbing hands and throwing them up in the air. You know what I mean? Nobody, when it's time to fight, we be by ourselves a lot of the times. And so I think that's the frustration that you get from some African Americans in terms of what's happening, in terms of the lack of jobs, in terms of everything that's going on in this world, because we kind of feel like, and a lot of times we are alone, and a lot of people aren't putting skin in the game. You know, they want to tell us what we need to do, but you don't want to put skin in the game. And so the only thing I say is that I think in terms of what happens in terms of affirmative action, I want to see that. I want to see a designation for African Americans, and not just all African Americans. I think if you're African American and your family is fourth generation, fourth generation college, maybe you get a little bit less. You know what I mean? I think there are a lot of considerations in terms of who gets what, and you don't just get it because you're black. You should just be able to come over here from have a rich daddy, in Ghana or wherever, and then, he's and they got good money, but you can mark affirmative action and take a slot from somebody who's African American and who's living in the ghetto. Like that doesn't work for me. But if you talk about that, then you're anti-Pan-Africanist. You don't love all your black brothers and sisters. No, I want African American. We've been here. I keep saying this. We've been in the richest country in the world for over 400 years, and we still ain't got nothing. I want us to get it, and I want us to get it first. We've been through a lot. We've been chattel slaves. I understand, that was colonization, not the same thing. Y'all was still the majority. We're outsiders here. This is our home, and we're the minority. So this is what I want. And I do put African Americans first in terms of my thinking and my priorities. And I think every other group does that. I think a lot of immigrant groups who come here put themselves first, put their communities first. And I just put African Americans first. And so if that's awful, then that's just what it is. That's who I am.
Well, it's not awful, and it's exactly what everybody should be doing. We talk about that a lot in the Black Wealth Boot Camp. I just let them know. I say, look, this is the place that's unapologetically black. Black lives don't just matter here. Black lives are the only thing that matters here. You don't have to be black to be here, but if you're not black, just understand black people are controlling this conversation. This is a space for black people, and our agenda, our issues are first and foremost. And I think that, and it's ironic that such a statement will be considered to be bold or radical or even borderline racist, because that's how everyone else thinks. That's how everyone else operates. And you're right. I mean, all these same people, who are benefiting from the sacrifices of black people ain't ready to stand with black people when the shit hits the fan, when we're really going through something. So I would love to see those white women benefiting from our affirmative action, stepping forward and helping us when we go through some of the issues that we deal with, but they don't do that. And also I get sick and tired of people taking 400 years of what we've gone through and comparing it to everybody else. Well, your plight's the same as poor whites. No, it's not. Your plight's the same as immigrants. No, it's not. Your plight's the same as Mexican, the Mexican people. No, it's not. It doesn't mean that their plights can't be bad. It doesn't mean that they haven't gone through some things, but it means that we should have our own space to talk about what we've gone through and stop watering down who we are, so that you can blend everybody else in. To me, a perfect microcosm of that was when I used to teach at my old plantation, Syracuse University. And I remember when I got into a big fight with them about race. I started doing work on race, and I started getting a lot of pushback from my colleagues, a lot of, just bad evaluations and all these other things, because they identified me as a troublemaking, loudmouth nigga. So here's the funny thing. So I went and when I went to the press, because I told them, I said, I'm gonna go to the press about what you're doing. I'm not gonna just be quiet. So don't think I'm gonna play the game with you. I'm not gonna play that game. I understand. I'm not the little kid who's gonna get molested in private. I'm gonna scream so all the neighbors will hear what's going on in this house. So what I did was I went to the press and I just said, just look at the data. Just look at their history. Don't base any of this on me. Don't base any of this on whether you think I'm qualified or not, because I don't want to have to defend myself on that area, because I know I'm qualified. Don't debate it based on whether you think I'm a good person. Who knows? Maybe I'm not. I said, look at their record. Look at their track record, their history of hiring black people. Look at how many black people they've actually promoted, et cetera. Look at the data. And so the university came back and they made an announcement that I think some reporter asked them about it, and they said, we have 90 black professors on campus, right? And another black professor called me and said, where are all these 90 people? Where the hell are they at? I don't see them. And we've both been there for several years. And so what we speculate happened, and this goes to your point, what we believe occurred is they took literally every person with brown skin from anywhere in the world and threw them in a pile and said, this is what we got, right? And so black did not mean African American. black just meant anybody who wasn't white.
Brown skin.
And that's what we're dealing with. You go to a lot of HBCUs and that's what you'll see. I have been at HBCUs back when I used to look for jobs. I don't want a job anymore. But back when I used to look for jobs, I interviewed at HBCUs, one HBCU in particular, where they said in our entire business school, we don't have one single African-American male professor in the entire fucking business school. That is bullshit. That is insane.
Oh, yeah?
That is insane. I mean, if a black man in America can't get a job at an HBCU, where the hell is he gonna go? I mean, seriously. And to me, what's really crazy is that we have all these systems that shepherd black people like sheep and make money off black people. You go to these inner city schools that are filled with black kids and they're run totally by white women. I talked to a black teacher the other day who said that she was at a school and was telling me about all the crazy stuff that happens to the kids because all the kids from the hood, they go through hood stuff. And I said, well, how many black teachers are there? And she said, I'm the only one. And, and then you look at prison systems. Again, prisons filled with black people are not in control. So what it is they shepherd you. You are an animal to these people. You are a political pawn. They use you. They manipulate you because you don't understand the system. You don't have the courage to stand up for yourself. You don't have the self-esteem to believe that your issues are worth fighting for. So what happens? Even the most elite, even the most highly educated Negroes, half these Negroes up in Congress probably went to Harvard and Yale thinking that they're smart, thinking that they got some kind of special ability. But even these people are being treated like niggas. They're being used like common niggas to go out here and you doing sit-ins with liberal white folks, but won't do a sit-in for black people. John Lewis, the CBC is writing letters on behalf of Israel, but won't write letters on behalf of what black people are going through. Sit your black ass down. We're tired of that shit. Sit your monkey ass down. Seriously. And I'm sorry, I'm getting mad, Yvette, because this is crazy. This shows me the insanity of oppression. We literally have lost our damn minds. I'm going to stop talking before I get in trouble. Please, Yvette. Help me come back to earth.
Just the last thing I would say, I don't want people to say, oh, Yvette's not in favor of solidarity. I am. I'm in favor of all poor people around the world rising up against the elite. But if we're going to rise up, this has to be a transactional enterprise. This has to be an exchange. I can't just be rising up for you all the time. We got to rise up together. You know what I mean? It can't just be you rising up and then somebody rides up on my back. You know what I mean? And rises up over me. Like, no, we have to do this together and rise together. I'm not going to be involved in any kind of relationship anymore where, I provide black people, African Americans provide moral cover, and moral protection. And then don't really get anything in return. I'm not going to do that anymore. I was talking to somebody a while ago and I said, listen, I think Republicans treated Barack Obama wrong. I think they were racist. I said, but some of that too was anti-immigrant. When they made fun of his name, they said his name is Barack Hussein Obama. Well, my name ain't Hussein. Like the part of what he got was that they were being very anti-immigrant towards him. Well, that's not African American. When they call him a tar baby, that's some black stuff. They're getting on him because he's a black man. But when they say his name is Hussein, no, your name's not Hussein. Your name is Tamika. Your name is Malik. Your name is Josh. Your name is Thomas. You know what I mean? So, even him being a Kenyan American, his father being a Kenyan American, his mother being, his father being Kenyan, his mother being white, his father came over here to go to school. Even that was sort of kind of like that where we can't separate African American from somebody who has parents, a white mother and a Kenyan father. That doesn't mean he's any less black. He's blacker than me in terms of skin color and all. That doesn't mean he's any less black. But he's adopting this African Americanness as if he's anchored in this sort of history. And I think that's part of how we got played. We realized later on, and I wrote about this, I think maybe 2010, that he's not anchored in the African American experience in this country. Doesn't mean he's not black. African American, huh?
Mm. Well, you know what? You have been preaching the gospel, and I guess you helped me. That's why I called the Holy Spirit earlier, because I'm just listening to what you're saying, and I think that everything you're saying is right on point. And I don't think, I don't know if the mainstream networks are going to pick up your commentary, but I know a lot of people online are doing that. And I encourage people to listen to Yvette. You know, you got to go to breakingbrown.com and listen to what Yvette is talking about, because she's got more sense than pretty much anybody out here. Even when I disagree with her, I know she's got sense. and right, I mean, because you know, you and I've had some really good disagreements, but. But it's not, but we understand it's nothing to be taken personal. It's just, it is what it is. I just don't see, you know, sometimes we don't see eye to eye, but that's what intelligent people do. You talk about stuff and you say, oh, I disagree with you. Tell me your point of view so I can try to understand it better. Or you might just say, you might give them the finger and walk away, but you're still going to be friends. So,
Get you boys, you know what you're talking about.
I know, right? Boy, you full of shit. But anyway, but it was great talking to you, Yvette, and thank you for giving me your time, and everybody, thank you for checking us out. Make sure you go visit breakingbrown.com, where Yvette Carnell lives. Baddest blog out here, best political blog in America. If I'm giving out the Black Oscars or whatever the Black Oscars for the internet would be, I'm going to give one to Yvette every year, because this blog is hands down better than any place you can go when it comes to talking about politics from a brown perspective. Also me, I'm from yourblackworld.net. Go check that out. Go subscribe. Also, we are selling Hidden Colors, by the way, with a bundle pack where you get a bunch of free ebooks and a free class, and also a lecture from Tariq Nasheed talking about how he built his business. So if you'd like to buy that, go to hiddencolorsbundlepack.com. That's hiddencolorsbundlepack.com. So until we meet again, stay strong, be blessed, be educated. We are gone. Peace.